Hello and welcome. In this lesson, we look at gaseous exchange in animals. Animals are much more metabolically active compared to plants. Hence, they have a greater need for an efficient and fast process of gaseous exchange. Now, various types of respiratory surfaces have been developed by different animals to facilitate rapid gaseous exchange. The type of respiratory surface depends on the size of the animal, the activity, and the environment in which the organism lives. For example, in unicellular animal-like organisms such as amoeba, gaseous exchange occurs over the cell surface, that is the cell membrane, because being single-celled, the organism has a large surface area to volume ratio. In a small animal such as the earthworm, the body is cylindrical in cross-section, and this type of body provides a large surface area compared to the volume. So gaseous exchange occurs simply across the surface. So oxygen will diffuse in and carbon dioxide will diffuse out of the body because of the large surface area to volume ratio. Now, the earthworm also exists in an aquatic environment. The surrounding must be moist for this type of gaseous exchange to take place. Another aquatic animal that has evolved specialized structures for gaseous exchange are the salamanders, aquatic salamanders that have external gills, while fish do have internal gills for gaseous exchange. Gills consist of tiny filaments that exposes a large surface area across which gases diffuse in and out. So, on the surface of these filaments, carbon dioxide will diffuse out into the surrounding water, while oxygen will diffuse across the surface and into the blood vessels through which it is transported to the rest of the body. In the terrestrial animals, such as insects, insects have a different system made up of tubes. Through this tube, oxygen will diffuse from the atmosphere down a gradient to the deepest part of the body tissues and then into the tissues, while carbon dioxide diffuses in the opposite direction. So, insects, spiders, and many other arthropods do have a system made up of tubes, and these tubes provide passageway for the diffusion of gases into and out of the body. While the vertebrates, terrestrial vertebrates such as mammals, birds, reptiles, and frogs, do have another type of respiratory surface made up of tiny air sacs which are exposed to the environment. So across the surface of these tiny air sacs, oxygen diffuses in while carbon dioxide diffuses out. So in these animals, we have these tiny air sacs known as the alveoli that present a very large surface area for gaseous exchange. Now, regardless of the nature or type of the respiratory surface, they all have most of these characteristics. That is, one, they present a large surface area for gaseous exchange because the gaseous exchange depends on diffusion. And the larger the surface area, the faster the rate of diffusion. Secondly, these surfaces are moist, even when the animal lives or operates on dry land. The respiratory surface has a moist lining. This ensures that the gases first dissolve before diffusing. So in solution form, the gases diffuse very fast. So one characteristic feature of this surface is their moist lining. Then, in many of these surfaces, there will be a rich network of blood capillaries, especially in the vertebrates. The rich network of blood capillaries greatly enhances the rate of diffusion by carrying away the absorbed oxygen and bringing carbon dioxide to the surface. So in this way, the rich network of blood capillaries maintains a steep diffusion gradient. So the rich network of blood capillaries can also be termed as high vascularization. So in vertebrates such as mammals, birds, reptiles, and even the frogs, the respiratory surfaces are highly vascularized. And these surfaces have thin membranes or thin walls or thin epithelia for rapid diffusion, because the thinner the membrane, the faster and easier it will be for gases to diffuse across. Now, in unicellular organisms such as amoeba, there are no specialized structures for gases exchange. The cell membrane surface is large enough to meet the gaseous exchange needs. So, oxygen that is dissolved in the surrounding aquatic medium simply diffuses into the body, because there's always a diffusion gradient. So while in the body, the oxygen is used for respiration, and carbon dioxide, which is a waste product of respiration, diffuses out. So there are no elaborate structures for gases exchange in these unicellular protozoa such as amoeba. Gases move into and out by diffusion. And not just the gases, even other soluble waste materials such as ammonia will diffuse out of the membrane into the surrounding water along a concentration gradient.